Palantir, what an exciting name to be in. Interestingly, there are more than 5,000 companies listed on the US exchange, but only a few of these companies seems to be particularly popular in the finance YouTube space. I just don't understand why. Anyhow, since many of you commented for part 2 in the previous Palantir video, here are my findings and concerns around Palantir today. Also, if you haven't catched part 1 yet, I do suggest you catch that first because it provides you more context and my overall opinion of Palantir's business model. Link will be in the description. So in part 1, I briefly drifted this entire discussion thread around Palantir being an AI imposter. And this article was actually released by Bear Cave on Substack. So to me, I do see Palantir as some sort of hybrid between Microsoft and Accenture. They are a software company first, but not in a conventional way, like Microsoft or even Adobe. At the same time, they do feel like some sort of a consultancy company that has the superior capability to build and tailor software solutions for their clients. Yet, they're not really your traditional, conventional software consultancy company like Accenture or MMC as well. So allow me to put my position on the record first. Please record this with all your AI capabilities, in case you think that I also find them as an AI imposter. So I do believe that Palantir is an AI company at its core. I think the usage of the term imposter is wildly inappropriate because it gives a false representation of Palantir's core business. However, a point to note here, the Bear Cave did put forth a very interesting perspective to consider, and I quote, Palantir is an AI imposter engaging in spurious games to inflate its books and obfuscate its less sexy role as an overhyped data consultant, unquote. So I would implore you to just strip away all the exaggerated terms that they have used. Let's just focus on the last two words, data consultant. So that's how the whole debate started, whether Palantir is a software company or a consulting company, because they actually have vastly different implications when you were to extrapolate many of their financial metrics and of course, whatever models that you're going to use in the future when you're discounting the profit margins. Now, I'm just going to focus on what I deem are the two most important factors, margins and ability to scale. So on margins, it is true that Palantir has a pretty solid gross margin profile, hovering near 80%. So on the other hand, if you were to compare it to a consulting company, and I'm using FTI Consulting in this case, they only have a gross margin profile of around 30+%. Another famous consulting company, Accenture, has a similar gross margin profile. So clearly, you can see the stark differences here. And of course, everyone wants higher margin. However, I would like to voice my concern about Palantir being a pure play software company. Bottom line, I don't think they are. So first, when looking at Palantir's gross margin profile, it basically screams that they're a software company, enjoying 80+% margins. However, when you look at some of the records of customers' testimonial, there is actually a huge level of involvement and commitment in how they implement their own in-house Palantir software solutions. So in the previous video, where we talked about Palantir's solution that was implemented in the Cleveland clinic, it was noted in the article that, and I quote, the 4 Palantir employees set out to create a meaningful solution, and they were only given a matter of weeks to build something worthwhile. So they took an intense and hands-on approach where they allotted time on the ground, shadowing doctors and nurses during their shifts, and asked questions to grasp the biggest pain points for each organization, unquote. So just from this very short excerpt alone, it's quite clear that Palantir is not a pure play software company. Yes, I agree that it's a software-first company with an incredible AI capability, but the requirement of human intervention, and in this case, human implementation, it's much needed and much required, or I dare say, even necessary. So without many of these consultants, I don't even know whether the implementation will be successful. The human asset, in this case, who are the consultants, that are able to accurately identify and solve the key bottlenecks with Palantir's in-house solution and software architecture is equally important, if not even more important. So this then leads to the next discussion point around their ability to scale. Yes, I do agree that Palantir's in-house software solution is constantly iterating for the better. But let's take this Cleveland clinic example. So since it's in the healthcare industry, and I would presume that most of the heavy lifting has been done during the Cleveland engagement, does it mean that it can be easily implemented in another healthcare company's facility or even in another healthcare's data infrastructure? Or would there be another team of consultants to go down to the ground to help identify company-specific challenges and to tailor-make another set of bespoke solutions again? So truth be told, when I compare this to a pure play software company like Microsoft, so assuming that we are talking about Microsoft Office Excel, so once the product, which is Excel in this case, is created, I would not need a team of consultants to ensure that Excel works for the particular client's needs. Sure, there are different courses to teach you how to use Excel, but that reduces the friction to scale, and Palantir doesn't seem to enjoy such benefits. Therefore, they feel very much like a hybrid between a consultancy company and a software business. So my next biggest worry is the bottom line utility of the product. So like I've alluded in my previous video, Palantir actually builds its business on a B2B framework. So us, as retail investors, do not have real-time insights on things such as customer satisfaction, utility, and effectiveness of Palantir's Foundry software, etc. So yes, we do get access to financial metrics such as customer growth, billing figures, but those tend to be backward-looking in nature. Further, we don't actually know the real value of the software unless you run one of these Fortune 500 companies in question. And you can probably see the real-time impact when comparing the before and also after the implementation or onboarding with Palantir's in-house solution. So therefore, one observation investors can consider is the pressure Palantir brings to the specific industry that they are contracted to analyze in this case. So for example, Airbus has recently partnered with Palantir to develop their in-house analytics platform, Skywise. So if, and only if, Boeing in the foreseeable future also starts to work with Palantir to develop something, this will suggest that Palantir is a true game changer because industry peers recognizes Palantir's value, and they will evidently lose out to their competition if they do not jump on board with Palantir as well. So this is probably just one of the data points that I personally will look out for. So that's it. I think it remains to be seen if Palantir software really provides such outsized utility. And once proven, I believe that their commercial business is set for an explosion. And of course, it's an explosion to the upside. But this also translates to the current concentration risk of Palantir's top 20 customers, making up 50% of their trailing 12-month revenue. Lastly, how can we also not talk about share dilution when talking about Palantir? I think they are synonymous. Jokes aside, personally, I don't see it as such a big issue anymore, as they've slowed down the dilution significantly when compared to probably 2 years ago. And you can also take into account this dilution effect in your own valuation model if you're interested in owning Palantir as a potential stock investment. Now, let's pivot over to talk about Palantir's valuation. So are they overvalued, undervalued? Can you buy it now? I would say that your guess is as good as mine. But what I can provide you here is what the markets are currently expecting and what is essentially priced into the stock today. So in this simple analysis, I'm benchmarking the value of Palantir on two main aspects: revenue growth rate and its exit multiple, using price to sales in this case. So here are some of my assumptions. I've taken into consideration the high level of dilution that I expect the company will continue engaging with in the foreseeable 5 years. And based on my estimates, I'm using a 4% dilution rate, causing the ending share count to be around 2.6 billion. And according to that set of assumptions, you can see that this is the table of the expected Palantir's price in 5 years' time. So assuming that you bought Palantir today at around $15 to $16 and you expect a 12% rate of return, you will need Palantir's ending price to be at least $26 to achieve the desired rate of return. And you can then cross-check this price with the table below to realistically understand what kind of growth and also what kind of multiple assumptions Palantir needs to command in order for you to get your expected level of return. So this simple table visualization is based on my expectation on the dilution, growth rates, and price to sales ratio, and of course, let's not forget rate of return. So if you want to tweak it to visualize your own assumption, you can go down to the link below in the description to download the template and to tinker it yourself. So this is just a simple exercise to really understand what the market is pricing into the stock today and what expectations you need to have before buying into it. Of course, I'm not here to tell you whether Palantir is a buy or sell, but I hope that this makes it a lot clearer as to how you see and view this risk to reward opportunity around Palantir stock today. Here's an interesting insight about the AI market. So did you know that AI stocks are heavily manipulated? So if you want to hear how our resident trading mentor, Elson Chew, outsmarted the market makers and made $150,000 from Palantir, do turn up for Piranha Profit's upcoming live online event, The Sixth Wave. Spots are limited. Do click in the link in the description below to register now. Until next time, this is CK from Piranha Profits. Keep winning.